Okay, I'll call the regular meeting of the Carthage City Council to order for February the 3rd. Excuse me? Yes, February the 3rd, 2022. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Apple.
Here.
Councilman Lockhart.
Here.
Councilman Eagle.
Here.
Councilman Peters.
Here.
Councilman Petty.
Here.
Vice Mayor Reese.
Here.
City Attorney Mullins.
Here.
Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from January 13th? Yes, sir?
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
Been approved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those are approved. Thank you. The consideration of bills, over 10,000. Name?
I included this in the agenda packet and the digital one as well, but we only had one bid for each, and that was for the local area network from PTC, which you guys have, as well as the digital sign approval.
Okay, do I hear a motion on either or both of those?
What was the second one?
It's for the digital signs for the police department and the street department.
All right, and the first was the sewer line?
It's for the local area network for our computer system in the office.
And we do have this emergency bill.
They will have to add that to the agenda, because that came in after the agenda was posted.
We do have an emergency, so do I hear a motion on those two bills? Yes, sir.
Motion to approve the bill for the sewer repair onto the agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion to add it to the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we've added that invoice. Yes, sir.
Motion to approve all three bills.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar with the traffic safety, the sign on this one. I'm guessing this might have been last
This
month.
is what, yes, Chief Davis told us about it. It's the digital signs that you can either have the speed limit, you can have announcements on it. It will help police, and it will also help public works on that. And I believe that's for two of them.
For two of them.
And it is a bid that we put it in courier as a bid, but that's the only one we got.
This is in the budget. We have them in the budget for it.
We have the money in the budget. It's not specifically laid out, but we got the money for it.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed, thank you. Okay, the next item, citizens' concerns. Do we have anyone from here in Carthage first that has anything they would like to share with the council? Okay, no citizens' concerns. All right, thank you. Mayor's report is next. I just want to, since we last met, I think we all know this, but we'll announce that the town did win the CDBG award for the fire engine, and we're very happy about that. You know, the Chief Hyde and fire department is very happy. So there's a few steps that we take. The first one was to do an environmental report, mostly if it was a building. So I was in a meeting with Triple yesterday, and we signed off on that, since it is just an engine. The next step will be they'll send a formal contract to us and has all the stipulations on it. I think Chief Hyatt, our portion is 60,000, and then it's 296,000 for their portion. I think it's something like that. Is that right? For the CDBG, yes, okay. That's correct. So once we get that contract signed, then we can move forward and hopefully find one out there and get a great new engine. That's fantastic, yes. And I was going to call it, it was not there. So the fire hall, we broke ground on the extension this past week. They're going to start, they're digging down to put the rebar in for the pad. And then once that's all done, then we'll slowly start building this extension. Hopefully by the spring it will be finished. So we're excited about that. We'll have two new engines, a new engine and a used engine, and we'll have space to put all of them together for the first time ever, I think, Chief. Is this the first time, Chief? is this the first time we'll ever be able to put all those together in one place? I think it's, once we get the new extension on the fire hall.
Yes, ma'am.
So that, I know you guys are happy about that.
Yes, ma'am.
I did have a meeting, because we are looking everywhere we can look for millions of dollars it's gonna take eventually to replace our water and sewer lines. So I had a really good meeting through the Corps of Engineers who were helping us with our riprap thing at the extension down in the sewer plant. They came on board and we met with Congressman Rose and Tana Cox from Senator Haggerty's office. We have proposed to them to include Carthage as for some extra congressional funding that is separate from the ARP funding. They have said they will come on board and help us with this. We're excited. It'll be a long process. It might be several months out yet before that is awarded, but we have the Corps of Engineers that's on board with us and both the senators and the Congressman's office, so that's a really good thing. Because we're really gonna need that much money if we start replacing these water and sewer lines. The selling point is that because we have the I&I project going, once that is finished, we'll have a design for starting to replace our sewer lines. So we'll be shovel ready, which puts us ahead of the pack on that. And I think that's an appealing point to them also.
You got a timeline on that I&I?
Yes, in fact, Mr. Kurtz was here today. Did he say another month and then we'll start doing the smoke detection, something like that? So we've got the flow meters in. They'll be pulled up maybe in another month, and then, am I right, guys? Smoke detection after that. And then they'll pretty much have a report ready. Part of this project, because it is a pilot project for the whole state, is that they will put together a presentation to present to all of the other cities of here's the example of how best practices for I&I studies. So it's a really good thing, and that's, again, we get 50% off on our principal on that, so that's good. And hopefully some of this ARP money can match some of that. Market Fest, again, we have one coming up Saturday, April 9th. It's going to be from 10 to 4 this time. We're going to have it back as a walking track. We're going to continue with the vendors and food trucks, but also the dog show that we had this time was a big hit with everybody. And we've added a feature this time we're excited about. We're going to have an antique car cruise-in. So if you have any folks, it's not a formal car show, it's a cruise-in like they have at some cities. So you've got two folks who put these things together who will be working with us on that. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun in the park. That's all for me. Mr. Jones was going to try to call in tonight. He's a little under the weather himself, but the I&I study, as we said, is going forward. Turkey Creek water pump system is going forward. And the Main Street water line design, he's hoping to have that design pretty soon. And so then we can start getting it out. And that's a process TDEC has to approve it all, but they're going to kind of expedite some of these things because so many people are going to be trying to do these. So once that's in line, then we can finally pave Main Street, which I know everybody wants to do that. So things are really moving forward a lot quicker now because it's COVID. Well, we thought it was gone. It's reared its head again, but that's all for me. So attorney, other than what we have on the regular schedule here, do you have any other things you want to add? No. Okay. Now, Chief Davis is not here. Assistant Chief Smith is here tonight, but is reporting something else. So, Danielle, I'm so sorry. I do that every time. See you recorded, Danielle.
That's okay. I was actually gonna speak about adding to the agenda for the police department. I don't know if you guys seen my email, but Britt had sent me some stuff after the fact, and I didn't want it to be left off. So if you guys could add in the topics he wanted to discuss. And you guys have his letter that was included in the digital agenda packets as well tonight.
Which letter?
It's in your packet. It's about hiring a new officer and promotion of another one. If you guys don't mind to add that to the agenda as well. Yes, sir.
Motion to add to the agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so, is that,
Yeah, I'm done with that.
So,
That's all I wanted to
I'm
address.
glad to have Assistant Chief Smith
Right.
here to speak to this, if you would, please.
You have the chief's email, I think came out separately over the packet that I had dropped off up there. And that's the application for the new hire and our stats. As a reminder, Sergeant Maynard,
No, go ahead.
as a reminder, Sergeant Maynard retired last night, it was his last shift. That created a promotion, multiple position and a new hire position, which we have Truman Enid, we're gonna be recommending for position of sergeant. And Mr. Brooks is our recommendation for our new hire that we've asked to be considered. Sergeant Maynard retired from Carthage City with 15 years of service from our department, and I think almost as much from state, as a reminder, so that's all as far as our monthly report, so.
Okay, so we have two separate things here, a new hire. So could we make a motion first about that, and then we'll go into the, yes, sir.
I motion that we group both of them together on the same department. I make a motion that we hire the new hire, Harry Brooks, and promote Stephen Inc. to sergeant per Chief Davis' request.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, both. Very nice. And we welcome you on board. We're really glad to have you here. Assistant Chief, do we have any?
Nothing further, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hope Chief is feeling better soon.
Right. He should be back Monday.
Okay, great. Public Works, Leslie?
I have nothing, unless y'all got any questions.
Okay. Any questions? Water sewer, Gary?
I don't have anything to report. Y'all already approved the bill that I submitted. But if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
All righty. The wastewater plant, Steve? Oh, Steve?
I don't have anything unless y'all got questions.
Okay. Water plant, Rusty? Sorry.
I thought you was gonna let me off. No, everything's normal. I don't have any formal report, but if y'all got any questions, I'll answer them the best I can.
Fire department, Chief Lai?
Yes, ma'am. Y'all have my annual report. I hope you find time to read a little bit of it. And you have our monthly report, 25 calls through the month of January. I'm glad to see ground broken for the additional fire station. We are awaiting the used apparatus we bought. There's some tests that are being run on it. And once the contract is signed, we see what's available, we'll proceed with the grant purchase. And I thank y'all for funding that. I'm not sure we're gonna have enough, but we're crossing our fingers on that. I'll get back with you on that, so we know.
Great. Thank you. CFO, Scott?
Everybody has a copy of the written report. Just wanted to highlight a couple of things for you. I've been working trying to figure out how best to reduce voluminous data, accounting data, to something you can tangibly use in a quick way. And so what I'm going to start doing is, if you'll notice in paragraph 2 of page 1, I'm just kind of giving you everything you've had in the past, but summarizing, so you kind of see exactly what cash we have on hand. But I'm also I've done some study on the municipalities and the best ratios and best analysis to see where we're at. We're in very good shape financially in terms of solvency. We have the cash ratios there and our debt ratio. What you should take away from it, paragraph E, in February, March, and April, we're going to spend probably $700,000 for different projects. The fire apparatus will be here next month or this month. 3rd Avenue embankment is going to be paid hopefully in February. And we got a couple of trucks that are going to be due for payment. Hopefully they're going to come in. So it's all going to hit us in the next 2 to 3 months of funds that we've got there. Would ask you to consider coming up with the dates for the workshops for the budget. I'd like to do those in March, if we can do so, as 1 or 2 meetings. And then last 2 meetings, I've given you 2 different reports. One's been a cash flow report and one has been a capital improvement plan. I'm keeping those up to date, so at any time you want one of those, I can provide that to you. But we're trying to keep an idea of where we're looking 3 to 5 years out. Okay. Anybody have questions about finances? The final point I have is, the mayor's mentioned the water sewer lines. We will never borrow enough money to do what's got to be done, so the grants has got to be where we're going to do it. And we've already put together the plan, part of the plan of the first 5 projects that we're going to approach from. So I know we're fixing to add a couple of loans in just a bit, the I-9 and Future Alley. I'm going to recommend next month that we pay off some, because we can do so, but that'll be a topic for another discussion. But just want you to be able to think about that. For me. Thank you.
We have Mr. John Poole here tonight, who's our auditor, because every year we usually invite him to come if you have any questions about the audit report that was sent out, what, last month?
It's been in the last couple of weeks, I think it was one last week.
So Mr. Poole is here to
Sure, let me go. My name is John Poole, hired to perform the state required annual audit. That report has been filed with the comptroller's office. I want to kind of talk, just spend a couple minutes. I know weather's bad and I'll go very quickly. Just when we talk about state audit, what we did as auditors, what we found, which was really nothing, and then just kind of give some basic numbers. In doing the audit, we're really trying to do 3 things. One, make sure that we provide the state the financial information that they require in their oversight capacity. Truth of the matter is, Scott and the office personnel do such a good job with that we as auditors don't have to spend a whole lot of time in doing that. The second thing we do is we're looking to make sure that the monies we should be receiving, whether that's from the annual property taxes, monthly utility billings, money that we get from the county for sales tax, money that we get from the state, making sure the monies that we're supposed to receive, that we are receiving those. Needless to say, when you have as many property owners as you do and as many utilities, sometimes you're going to have folks that may not pay. We believe that the staff does a good job of tracking that for the property taxes, submitting that over to the county, and then doing cutoffs as per our policy here at City Hall. And then once we have received that money at City Hall, making sure we're handling those monies in accordance with the town policies and of course the state guidelines. As auditors, we just didn't find anything that gave us any concern. We certainly believe that the monies we're supposed to be getting, we're getting, and we're handling that money appropriately. So that's great. And then the third thing we do, which is probably most important for this board and for the citizens as a whole, we spend most of our time as auditors looking at monies that are spent, monies that this board approved through the budget process, looking to make sure, first of all, that money was being spent on town business. I say it every year, it's a simple sentence, but it's probably the most important thing that we'll say. We didn't find anything that gave us any concerns related to that. And we obviously try to look at the areas that can be manipulated the most. And once again, glad to report that we didn't find anything that gave us any concern. And then we're also looking to make sure that we're following our purchasing policies, and whenever there are grants involved, making sure that we're following the guidelines. And once again, we're very glad to say that we don't really have anything that we think we need to report to you. This audit is as of June 30th. Just to kind of summarize, and this board is aware that the state requires us to keep all our monies in different sets of books. The utility fund is always the one that we as auditors are most concerned about, because there's a law that says basically that fund has to be profitable at least every other year. Can't lose money 2 years in a row. If you go back to June 30, 2021, the surplus was $240,000. That's terrific. You go to your other, what we call governmental non-utility funds, and once again, if you look at those, the surplus was almost $800,000. Most of that surplus in the general fund. We didn't spend any of the street money we received. I know we're getting ready to, but anyway, needless to say, you put those numbers together, and for the year ending in June, surplus of almost $1 million. And needless to say, we all know how encouraging and you know, that's, Scott, just heard Scott mention that we're in great shape for money in the bank and those kind of things, and you certainly are. As I mentioned, this report is on the comptroller's website. If there's ever someone who wants to look at that, they certainly can. My name and phone number is on page 1 of this. If there's ever a citizen that has a question, wants to ask me, they certainly can call me, and I'll be trying to do the best that I can. That's kind of a report. I don't know if there are questions, if that's appropriate. Yeah, sure.
Getting those black books again?
Yes, and now that's what I'm assuming,
You weren't here.
Yeah, we got the last one.
Oh, okay.
but,
I'll get a black book.
okay, if not,
I
you
hope
can
you
certainly,
get a black book.
if
I like my
not,
black
you can
book.
go to the comptroller, download it. I'll be glad to send you a digital copy also, but yeah, they're widely available, and I apologize.
No,
That's
okay.
my
I
fault.
forgot to bring it for you, but it's in my office folder.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Any other? Thank you so much. We
Appreciate working with them in town.
Okay. Then we go, the grant reports, we've already sort of touched on those. Unfinished business, so we'll go to, yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda, I don't care whether it's under unfinished business or new business, about meeting location.
Second.
Okay. So, just add an item, okay, let's go ahead and,
Unfinished business.
let's just go ahead and add it right now, that's okay, is that all right with you?
Well, we have to vote on a 2/3 vote.
Okay, I'm just saying, do you want to add it to?
I second it.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Can I have an explanation of what we're voting on specifically?
Sure, I'm just adding that to the agenda for now.
Oh, okay, just
Whenever,
add.
whenever
Okay.
she's ready for
Yeah,
it.
just if you, go ahead, that's
Okay.
fine.
Back in, I've got it all written down, give me 1 second. On August 5th, we were at the Stevens Building, we had our meeting there. I made a motion at the very end of that meeting to start meeting at City Hall, and we unanimously voted in favor of that. September 2nd, which is the next following month, we met at City Hall. October 7th, it was rescheduled for a lack of quorum. We met October 13th, but we met here at the chamber. November 4th, we met at City Hall. December 2nd, we met at City Hall. January 13th, we met here at the chamber, and today we're back at the chamber, which means that after we voted on August 5th, unanimously to continue having our meetings at City Hall, this being the 6th one, 3 out of the 6 times we have been here and not at City Hall, and I want to follow through with what we voted on and approved to meet back at City Hall. The reasons that I'm being given that we're meeting here is for social distancing, yet before and after the meetings, we're all within a foot of each other talking, and so I don't believe that that's really what's going on. I don't know what is, but I respectfully ask that from now on, going forward every single month, unless there's something that prevents us from meeting at City Hall, that we meet there in our own building.
Okay, do I have a second to that?
We already voted on it,
The
but
thing
I'll
is,
second it.
that's,
No, we just
yeah.
voted to put it on the agenda.
No, we voted on it.
Second, to do
We
it
voted on
again,
it in August.
like usual.
Well, okay, do you want to make that a more formal motion, or just?
No, it was one, it was,
Request, we've already.
yeah, it was an actual, and to be honest, when I brought it up, Mayor, you had responded back to me that it's fine, we'd do that going forward, we didn't need to do a vote. I said, no, I actually want to do
Sure.
a vote, I want to do my motion, a second, we did all that, it was unanimous that we did it, and now we're still 3 out of the 6 meetings we haven't met there.
I think.
I'm not mad at you, I just want to go back to doing that.
Just.
That's all I'm asking, is that we go to City
We'd
Hall.
be glad to do that, you know, because several people have had COVID in and out of our group. I think there was some feeling this would be protecting everyone, but if you don't want that, we can certainly go back to City Hall.
If anybody feels other than how
Okay.
But what's to ensure this is not gonna happen again?
I don't know, because I sent an email and asked about the location being changed tonight, and I did not get a response, and I don't appreciate that.
Did we have a second?
No,
Do
we
we
didn't.
have do we have a second on this motion?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any discussion? Yes, sir.
As long as I get a new chair.
A new chair. Okay.
I'll make a motion
You always get a new chair, okay.
Let's,
Your chair doesn't sink, my chair sinks to the ground.
It's haunted.
We will see if we can put that chair back up.
Yeah,
I think we get some
fix that.
COVID relief money
Okay,
for that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, thank you. The next item is Attorney Mullins. Do you have some thoughts about the counteroffer of the tax assessor to us?
Well, I went over I thought I addressed it last time. I went over the statute, the relevant statute that Mr. Hassler cited in his letter. And pursuant to the statute, I do think the tax assessor has the right to charge the city pursuant to that specific statute. Now, I haven't had a conversation with any of the other attorneys regarding this issue since that time. I don't know what their positions are, or what they've done, and where they were going with it, so maybe we're on our own about what you guys want to do. I could understand the frustration with the letter that I think it was for 3 years, and then he would reassess, and then I guess he's gonna change his mind. I think it would be better if if he proposed that 25% of the 50%, I guess. His proposal was that you guys, the statute calls for 50% of the cost to assess the property. He agreed to do 25% instead of the 50%, but to redo it in 3 years. Well, one, who comes up with the cost of how much it costs to do it? That would be the first question I have. Does he determine the cost and then say, well, you owe 25%? The next question I have is that cost going to dramatically increase after 3 years? I know nobody can answer that question, but there's a lot of uncertainties in the letter. It seems like it's a Band-Aid to me, but y'all can do, whatever y'all vote to do. And as far as
Could we make another counter proposal to what he has done? Maybe you could.
well, I think we were doing this collectively, and Mr. Winkler was doing it kind of for the collective whole. If you guys want to do your own, I don't care to write Mr. Hassler myself on your behalf and say this is what they want to do or what they propose. That's totally y'all's choice, what y'all want to do.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and pay the tax bill at 25% of the 50%, which is half of what we paid last year. We owe the money, we're gonna have to pay it. It just prolong it, it's not gonna do anybody any good. So I suggest that, my motion would be to pay that, go ahead and pay the 50% of what we paid last year.
So is this for the next 3 years we're talking about? Is that how that is worded?
Well, that was his proposal, that was his settlement proposal. I don't know if you just want to do it this year and we wait, or.
I want just this one, so we get it out of the way, because we're holding up, I think some other cities have already paid it,
So you're saying just for this year?
And then if you want to try and negotiate now, you've got a whole year to negotiate.
Okay, we have, yes, sir.
I would like to find out, after we vote this, whichever way we vote it, that we do some research into how other cities, what percentage they're paying, so to speak, and how they are determining what it costs to assess a property.
Okay.
But that's down the road, that has nothing to do really with tonight.
Okay, do we have a second to his motion?
Yeah, Sam already seconded
Sam
his
did,
motion.
Okay.
I like your idea. I prefer us look into that before we went forward with this motion, because I think that's actually a really good idea to see what other cities are doing, what they're paying. Two, what is that cost? What's 25%?
It's like $5,000. So that's kind of the question. I don't know how he comes up with the number that he comes up with. I don't know how you determine, let's say he says it's $10,000, I'm just throwing a number out, to assess the city's properties. I have no clue how he comes up with that $10,000.
Okay. So this is what I would suggest, because I'm with you, Steve. I want to get done with this. I'm tired of hearing about it. But also, we have some questions to answer here, and I think Sam presents some good questions too. So, I mean, could we rescind that motion, get that information, bring it, and let's just be done with this at the next meeting? So that way we have all that information at hand and we're good?
I think one more month, it's not gonna hurt anything. But
I question whether we have enough time to ascertain that information between now and the next meeting. And that's why I would suggest we go ahead and vote on it, but then go forward from there on and do some research into it.
I just don't know the cost, that's why I can't vote on it.
Well, the worst case scenario, last year we paid $10,900 some, wasn't it? This year was,
$10,311, so you look at $5,155.
We're paying-
$5,155.
we're paying half this year.
Okay.
We approved last year, so I mean.
And I think based upon my reading of the statute, they have the right to charge you 50% of it. There's nothing you can, now, again, we'll get, that's the theory on it, let's get into practicality, is the county gonna sue the city to get it? Well, I don't know whether they would or they wouldn't, I mean, if you scoffed at them and said, well, we're just not gonna pay you, I mean,
Well, then
I don't really know what would happen under that situation,
Then if
but it's gonna cost a lot more than $5,000 if they do, so.
Then we're gonna vote on it right now, but let's still get that information next month still regardless.
Good.
Do you know when the next assessment's gonna be? Because it won't be coming up pretty soon. I think it's in April, the county assessment. So that's pretty soon.
So, I mean, we vote on it tonight, that's fine, but let's still get those questions answered for next meeting.
I would think too, since they're sending us a bill for something, that next time around at least, it'd be itemized to explain, you know, what we're paying. They just throwing out a figure. For this time around, I think we're better off going ahead and paying it, get it behind us, and then let's do some research.
Good faith payment, and then, hey, we've got some questions on future payments.
Right.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? We have a motion to go ahead and pay this year's loan. All in favor? I'm sorry, did you?
I don't know, well, you already called for a vote, so I don't think I did.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so we will go ahead.
What was the questions again? What you wanna know how he
I think-
determines the amount?
Why don't we do an additional motion?
Yeah, that's
to
what
put that
I'm gonna
on,
do.
that way
I
it's
was gonna
fit.
amend the motion, but that's okay.
I'd like to make an additional motion that we let Attorney Mullins try and negotiate a better fee with the county going further. Also, to figure out how each other cities are paying and what percentage other cities are paying, and have an itemized bill sent to us next year so we know what fees are being charged for what services.
Matt said that one.
And I'll second that.
Second,
Yes, please.
just so we all know, it's kind of lengthy, can you read it so we all can vote on the same thing?
Bottom line is, what are we paying?
The formula for which you came up with it in an itemized bill
Right.
and negotiating.
And negotiate with.
Okay, all right, any discussion on
And,
that?
and what the other cities are paying.
What the other cities are paying, I think they're,
Let's define you mean cities in
Let's-
Smith County or Smith County
Smith
across
County,
the
maybe a
state?
few
I
other.
would say we go with the cities within our county, and then maybe a sampling of some cities that are close to our county.
I would like to see about 4 or 5 more cities that are reasonably close to our population.
Yeah, counties that are, counties, 20,000 counties, 20,000 population counties. Four cities.
Okay. Any further discussion on that?
That's comparable county.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. So,
You said 20,000.
did you get all that, Will?
Yes.
All right, so we have then what was supposed to be an ordinance in place, CO 202-20203, to eliminate the peddler's fee permit for the,
You skipped number 2.
Number 2.
oh, I'm sorry, yes, your recommendation.
So when I told you guys the last time that I knew an employment lawyer, I didn't really realize what I was getting into and the litany of phone calls I was gonna have to make. So just to be fully transparent, I talked to, the person that I was thinking of the last time, whenever I told you I would help him find a lawyer, was Attorney Kent Williams in Cookville. He practices with Mabel and Jared. I spoke to Attorney Williams about it. He said he does litigation, handling employment issues, and not necessarily policy drafting and things. So he referred me to Wimberley Lawson, and actually the attorney that represents Putnam County, Mr. Jeff Jones, and he said they handle policy issues. Well, I talked to Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones says, well, that's something I don't really do. I do policy issues, but what you need is a very specific attorney that handles ERISA plans. And there's probably not very many of those in the state that do that, but you need somebody very qualified and highly trained in retirement plans to help you draft this. He gave me the name of an individual out of Knoxville, Mr. Al Holyfield. He practices with Holyfield and somebody, I don't know. But anyway, I did wind up getting a hold of Mr. Holyfield. It was Friday of last week, and him and I discussed it. He said he would be interested in helping you guys with the situation. He said it's a very complex area of law, as we all know. We need to make sure that it's drafted very tightly. He has helped, I may have been talking to someone else, but I think he helped Davidson County draft theirs, I think. So, he said he would be interested. Before he fully committed though, he wanted to, sit down with, and this is where you guys come into play. I don't know if you guys want to sit down with the whole council and the mayor and myself, or sit down with just me and the mayor and him to determine, well, I don't really know exactly what you guys want at this point in time, so I know we've been back and forth, me, Scott, and the mayor, and Danielle sat down and somewhat tried to put our heads together, and I don't even know if that was 100% of what you guys wanted, so I think y'all are gonna have to determine, or you're gonna have to meet with him collectively in a workshop to express what you guys want for him to try to draft an ordinance for you. Because as I said here, I don't 100% know what you guys want. So I know you want retirement benefits for employees and things, but as far as the age, I think you guys hammered out the years of service. It was 25 and 30, but what percentage at 25 and 30? There was questions about, does the person pay in, or do they pay you guys, or how that works? I think you finally hammered it out. I think they pay it and you guys reimburse them, if I'm thinking correctly. I'm not 100% sure on that, but things like that he needs to know before he tries to draft you an ordinance, because you don't want to pay the guy to draft an ordinance and then come back and say, well, I don't want that. You know, I think it'd be better to express it, get what you want, him draft you an ordinance, and then you guys can vote on it and go from there.
But he'd be willing to come and sit down with us during that?
Yeah, yes, that's what he said he wants to do.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to have Mr. Holyfield come down and talk to the entire council at our next scheduled meeting.
Second.
Okay. Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Invite him, I guess he will come here, if he's okay with that.
Yeah, he's in the
The next item is the first reading of the city ordinance now, CO 2022-0203. This is to eliminate the peddler's fee, permit fee. Attorney Lines, I think you had something that.
I took Cole's, and Cole, the one that we talked about in the workshop, and I just put the appropriate formalities on the bottom of it. I sat here and drafted one just a few minutes ago. It reads just a little different than this, but it's essentially the same thing. My computer will pull it up. And I can forward this to Danielle tomorrow. It just says that an ordinance of the council of the town of Carthage to amend Title 9, Chapter 1, Section 9-1043 of the town charter in order to reduce the peddler's permit fee. It says, whereas the town of Carthage charges each applicant as a peddler, transient vendor, solicitor, or street marker a non-refundable application fee of $20. Now therefore it be ordained by the Board of Mayor and Alderman of the town of Carthage, Tennessee, that Title 9, Chapter 1, Section 9-1042 of the municipal code shall be deleted and replaced with the following section. 9-104, parentheses 2, permit fee. The application fee for each applicant as a peddler, transient vendor, solicitor, or street marker shall be $0. And then it's just, this ordinance shall take effect after its final passage, and then it's got the formalities of how to read it, and you know what dates you read it on and sign it and everything else.
Do I hear a motion to? Yes, sir.
Motion to adopt the ordinance.
Motion to adopt? Second. Any discussion? Let's do a roll call because it is, it's all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, roll call. Excuse me, all in favor of the roll call. Go ahead.
Councilwoman Knappel.
Yes.
Councilman Babcock.
Yes.
Councilman Evil.
Yes.
Councilman Peters.
Yes.
Councilman Petty.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Reese.
Yes.
So that passes on first reading. We'll take one more reading. Next month we'll have it informal content to show to you, so thank you.
Got a hand in there,
I'm sorry?
a hand in there.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve second reading budget amendment of sanitation fund BA 2002-0106B.
Second.
Okay. Motion second, any discussion of that?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that is passed, thank you. We have some guest speakers, or how does this work? Who brought the guest on? Yes.
Like a motion, make a motion to suspend the rules so that the individuals that do the tornado sirens can speak to y'all and let y'all know. And also, we voted last month to put it out for bids, and still has not been put out for bids.
Well,
Now, the specs were turned in on January 14th.
our problem is the specs were from one particular company. You have to have a generic spec. I believe that was from one company that sent you, so we can do a generic spec, but we have to do it that way.
You asked me to get the specifications for the tornado sirens. I got the specifications. I don't put it in bid form.
Okay.
I don't know what specifications he need. And he gave me the specifications that were needed, and I sent to y'all, so
But that's for his particular package though, right?
no, he'll explain it to you. I can't explain it to you. He can explain it to you. I'm not a tornado siren guy.
Okay, he can explain, but then if you would decide on what you want, if you want all of that included, or not, it's up to the council to decide. You can't just, so you guys talk about it tonight, and you can decide what
Well,
specific.
that's what we're hoping to do.
Okay, go right ahead.
This is Mr. David Butts.
Kelly Ronnie.
And Kelly Roney. They're, one's from the company that gave us the specifications. The other one actually works for the manufacturer who has more specifications on it.
So thank you for having us, we appreciate it. So my name's David Butts, I'm with Precision Communications. We're a master distributor for our manufacturer, which is Kelly Roney. He's with Wayland Engineering here out of Chester, Connecticut. Luckily, you have a representative of the factory that lives close to here, in Nashville. His dad, which started 40 years, 35 years ago, has been doing Wayland for that long. Kelly is now second generation manufacturer. So we thank you for having us. As most of you may know or may not know, we've been working with your neighboring town, Gordonsville, with their pipes. They actually have a bid right now out on the street for a siren. So we wanted to come speak to you about the capabilities of what outdoor mass notification can do for the town. There's been a lot of advancements over the last several years. A lot of people don't realize that we can now tie, which town of Gordonsville is actually bidding this piece out as well, a computer-based encoder or activation device. So that piece has the ability now to tie directly to the National Weather Service. So used to, in the past, if folks had sirens in their area, that they had to rely on an EMA director or someone like that to be watching the weather. So if your city or a county came under either a tornado watch or warning, they had to manually activate those sirens. Well, today we don't have to do that anymore. That computer-based activation device ties directly to the National Weather Service. And when your county or city comes under that watch or warning, depending on what you want to activate on, it can actually automatically activate those systems. It wouldn't be really applicable to you here when you're getting in a county-wide system, a large system. Those can even activate based on polygons. Are we all familiar with polygons? Surely here in the South, we're all familiar with polygons and tornadoes. So it gets very specific of which sirens are activated. So if I've got 20 sirens across a county and a polygon just hits the northern part of that county, it'll activate just those sirens, not alerting everyone to that threat. So there's a lot of advancements in that. You would have the option to add actually pre-recorded voice messages to the siren. So when those sirens activate, you can actually alert people of what's going on, and then a tone can follow that up to alert your citizens of what's happening. Now, unlike other things, and listen, we're a big proponent. When you're thinking about a mitigation plan, don't think one solution, because there's no one solution out there. It's 100%. We advocate, think of every avenue you can possibly pursue to warn your citizens of weather, chemical releases, fire, whatever it may be, think every avenue you possibly can. And certainly outdoor warning fits in that scope of the project. So we just wanted to kind of briefly update you on what sirens can do for the city. I've done just a preliminary coverage study of the city here, and we looked at putting just one, I think close to the high school or a school here, and looked at that coverage pattern. One 10-cell siren, which is the largest that Wayland manufactures, the loudest, would cover the city fairly well. Now, obviously, you've got some terrain here to deal with. You could look at that in the future. So, and if you folks have any questions, I know you guys are looking into possibly moving in that direction. That's what we're here for, really, to answer any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions of this particular company? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other speakers?
Except for the mayor, which for the 110 siren, that's all we need. That's the size we need, that will cover the entire city. He sent me a map showing what it covers, how many decibels go to each one. I'm not a tornado siren guy, I couldn't tell you we need 40 or 50 of them, so I don't know how to put a bid together or something I don't know nothing about. So I researched it, got hold of them, they're the ones giving the bid to the city of Warrenville. I figured common sense would say, well, let's just see what they've got. I suggest that we use the same specifications that they put in and put that out for bid as soon as possible, and just see how much it's gonna cost us.
I'm not opposed either way. I think it would behoove us to get a bid, just so at least we know what we're looking at cost. So if there's a secondary idea, we can know, well, at least this will cost this. So we have at least done our 100% research on it. We know exactly what this is. And if there's an opposing view, that can go against that. We can agree there. You know, it's just going to bid. I don't say we don't vote on spending that money, but at least bid it out.
We gotta start somewhere.
Yeah,
Why
so
do we need a generic spec? Why can we not use that spec if that's what?
Well, you can't, if a company gets their specific design, then that's like a bid. So we can put out something similar to this, but it has to be a sealed bid if it's over 10,000.
He would like to speak to on that matter.
Yes, sir.
Can I speak to that matter? So what we do is, when you're talking about outdoor warning, I don't care if it's Federal, American Signal, ATI, I don't care who they are or manufacturer they are. We all go by the same FEMA guidelines for outdoor warning. At least we're supposed to. Some don't, we do. So when you're talking about those bid specs, there's nothing in there that my other competitors don't do. So what you have on your for those bid specs now, actually they come from the manufacturer. But if you'll go read those bid specs, I encourage you, read them line item by line item. What you're going to see is whether I get that bid or a competitor gets that bid, you're going to get a quality siren. So, you know, we go by FEMA's guidelines when it comes to outdoor warning. And that's very important because some people take that as a suggestion.
So you keep using the word outdoor. Is that specifically designed if you're outdoor to hear this, but if you're indoors, what happens then?
Well, you know, sound, we all know that sound is hindered by everything. So the siren that we've proposed here and also for Gordonsville is an omnidirectional siren. That siren is rated at 70 dBs, so we'll be at 70 dBs of noise at a mile mark. I don't care, a mile and a quarter, I don't care what it is. FEMA's guidelines say we need to be at 70 dBs of noise at that mile mark. That's where we are. Anything inside that, they may hear it on a good clear day, test day, but we don't really think about that because typically when storms are coming in, we've got wind blowing. Wind affects that. So within, say, a half to 3/4 of a mile, they probably will hear it inside. But it depends on what type of building materials are there. But yes, it is designed for outdoor warning.
Do any of our public works have any experience that they can share, having worked with doing this in the past? Add to it? Derek, have you ever chief hired?
Hang on, listen.
sorry?
We're just asking if any of our personnel have ever worked with any of these sirens and can share your experience from your own personal.
The closest I would come, I remember the old sirens we had here years ago, anybody my age.
On the water tank?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in those days, before everybody had central heat and air and closed their houses up, you heard it all over town. Now, that was my only concern, is how effective it would be, and I don't know that.
I doubt it was the quality of what we're dealing with.
I do know that the mechanical sirens we run on our fire apparatus works a lot better than the electronic, because you get that air movement. But, I'm not opposed to that at all, I just don't know anything about it.
Yeah, and here's another thing too, and we'll all be able to recognize this. So it's very important for a manufacturer, the hertz or the low register of sound, we can hear much farther.
Yes.
So obviously we've all heard that car coming down the road and we hear the bass. Boom, boom. That's a low frequency noise. Wayland is in the industry one of the lowest frequencies that are available. So I can get that sound penetrating better than say a high pitch. We don't hear treble, do we? We don't hear treble that's right here at us. So the higher the frequency of noise, we want that low register. So that's that effect. And you'll understand, they're moving to, I can't remember what they call them, and you'll see them on ambulance, a rumbler.
That is the name.
There you go. That's why they go to that, because I could hear it much further. So an ambulance coming to us, we can see their lights, no siren until they get right on us. Well, that siren's at a higher pitch, so plain to hear that. So sound is.
At times you can outrun your siren too.
Yes, sir. Sure thing.
You know about that.
What are you putting me up for?
Yeah, I'm still at, whatever was presented, just say that was presented to them, for their bid. I don't understand why we can't use that as the model, send that out to 3 or 4 more companies, and that be the bid process.
We'll put it in the paper, and that's
That's
the
fine.
public bid.
But why are we saying we can't do
No,
that?
we can, if that's what you, if that.
I think
makes
that's
all
what
your
everybody
sense.
in the room wants to do. I think
And
it's what
we'll use that particular framework that he's put together.
Well, the question I would have was, we voted on that last meeting, and you said get the specifications, we got them, and it didn't go out anyway.
Well, but it came from a particular company,
So let's just do it going forward. I'd say before next meeting, we can have that in the paper, right?
well, yes, now, is it 14 days when you have a sealed bid? How does that work?
Yes.
14 days, so we'll put it in the paper next week.
Okay.
It's be specified at a certain date, sealed bids have to be in that by that time. Then there's a whole bunch of people will open bids at the same time and they report it.
Okay.
So, yes, sir.
Motion to go back into Robert's rules.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So now we're back in Robert's rules.
We all need
I make a motion that we, table this one until next month so that Anthony can come and speak. At that time, we should also have, some kind of knowledge of, bids that have been put in that we can put against theirs too.
I'll second it. And then I got a question discussion.
Okay, second. So we're going to put bid in and we're going to invite Anthony back.
Yes, this will be, we'll
Any
pass this on next
discussion
month.
on that? Yes.
Go ahead. No, I was just wondering, because this was already voted on last meeting, we don't need to vote on it again, right? It's going out for bid, right?
Well, I think.
Alright, so-
Well,
I was wondering.
that
Don't know.
that you're gonna use this specific, that you're okay, that the whole council.
If it's the FEMA rate, if like it's the same bid that anyone would use, is the FEMA rated bid, I'm fine with that, let's do that.
Okay, yes, sir.
Well, I suggest we go ahead, let's at least go out and put out the bids, even if we're waiting, we're not gonna vote on it until we don't let it speak anyway.
Let's just get the information, yeah.
Let's get them out there.
So the motion is to put the bid out, invite Anthony, we have a second, any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, the last item, we have got a gentleman here in town who has contacted us. He has a building for sale that we're all familiar with. It's right across the street here, the children's building. They're building the new building here. We've actually looked at it, walked it. I don't know if any of you have ever been in that building, but he's making a pretty decent offer. We put this in the package, and it's something, I told him we would bring it up and at least discuss it. Just so you know, it's the children's building here on Adelaide Lane. He's asking $400,000, which is the price of some land around here now. He will finance it at 5%. You can no money down if we don't want to. For 15, he's just put in a potential. This would be how much per month we would pay if we didn't put any money down. We put certain money down. Of course, it would be more than that. The building is 7,200 square feet. Low to green, but it's up to y'all to discuss this, yes, sir.
I just think it would not be a wise decision to buy property in this market. It's very, it's the, Sam, you're real, I mean, it's the highest market we got, and it's 2008 bubble. This is gonna be a lot more of a bubble when it pops. I'd say if we're gonna look at some buildings, let's wait till it's a buyer's market versus a seller's market.
Well, we talked about possibly at one point in time, I think we talked about selling or getting rid of the Stevens building and other things like that. What do we need this building for? What's the purpose of it?
I'm just bringing you, he just offered us.
This is an offer.
It's just an offer he's brought to us. Yes, sir.
Are you saying the building that they just built?
No.
What are we talking
The
about?
one they're moving.
The old PCS building.
The brick building back there?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same question. What are we gonna use it for? Just to
Again,
own it?
he just presented this opportunity, that's all this is. So, yes, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
Well,
I don't think it's worth discussing.
okay, yes, sir.
I make a motion that we not buy the building.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. Can we finish that one?
I'll rescind my motion.
Okay.
That's my motion. We don't buy the building.
I second that.
So we'll let him know we're not interested. But that's all he's doing, he's
Vote.
just making us
We have to vote on
present
that.
this. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, any opposed? Yes, sir.
Well, I have a question for you. On the dates for the budget, you March 22nd, or March next month, April the 20th, May 5th. Can we not do those before the meeting? Or
I think that's a good idea.
Instead of having a separate day.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
Say that again?
do it like at 5, like we did today.
Okay. So before the
Instead
next
of
meeting.
coming back in on Wednesdays and all this other stuff.
So you'd like to meet early on the next meeting in March. How early would you like to do that? Scott?
You think 1 hour would be appropriate for the next 3 months? I think it would be.
In my opinion, it will be well worked over, and you guys will have plenty of time to look at it. And
If we need more, we can pass it.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, just lump them together.
So what is your formal, what again? An hour, 2 hours? What would you like to do next?
Well, when we do our budget talks, then we do it prior to the
Regular.
meeting of the month.
Okay, starting next month or when? When would you
Well,
like?
he just got that in question.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll send out, but it'd be an hour before, whichever.
But the April, May, June.
I'll second.
And I'm told, yes.
Actually, that's not formally on there, but let's go ahead. So, any discussion on there? Okay, all in favor? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I was just on what John was saying, I'd really like y'all, just during this budget talks, to possibly look at doing some property tax decreases. We're getting a lot of surplus, and so that just means we're charging a little bit, get a little bit of tax relief to our citizens. We're going, it's been a hard economy, and we've probably got some hard economies coming up, so it might be a little relief for them. So just something to consider during this budget talk.
Okay, do we have any further? Let's vote on your motion. I think to meet an hour ahead for whatever budget meetings we do.
Well, I just make a motion that we put the budget meetings right before the
We have a
monthly
second.
meetings.
All in favor of doing that?
Aye.
Right. Is that your motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.